In conversation with Susan B. Wile. Susan Wile was born in Liberia, Africa, because her father was a diplomat. Her family lived there only 2 years before they moved back to the US. When she was 5, a family moved to Holland, where Susan went to a Dutch school and learned to read, write, and speak Dutch. She didn't know how to read or write English until she was 8. The first book she could read on her own was Dr. Seuss' The Cat in the Hat, which she loved. She has always loved animals too, and just about anywhere in nature is her favorite place to be. She loves a good story and has always felt like a writer. She pretended to write when she was 3, scribbling on paper with a pencil, which felt exactly like writing to her, but looked like the scribbling of artists, CY Twombly. Professionally, she has written grant, web copy, advertising copy, script for corporate videos, source sheet, marketing report, and internet communication for a large multinational corporation. Extinction Warrior is her first novel, and she's currently doing research for a second Extinction Warrior while writing a satirical graphic novel script. She calls New York beautiful Hudson Valley home, where she loves growing flowers, fruit, and vegetables. She's married and lives with the sweetest rescue dog, 3 cats, and thousands of honeybee and 5 hives. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy, and excitement to offer the show today, Susan B. Wile. How are you doing, Susan?
I'm doing very well on a gray, rainy day here in the beautiful Hudson Valley. Yes.
Oh wow, that's quite amazing to know, really. I love the sound of that. From that alone, it looks as if we've got some beautiful outdoor landscape over there for you to catch up with. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm delighted to be speaking with you, Peter.
Yeah, my pleasure as well. So, Susan, I'd like you to tell us about your book titled Extinction Warrior, One Girl's Round the World Quest to Find a Parent and Save Endangered, whose description page actually on Amazon reads quite compelling, captivating, and quite intriguing to me. And I would like to ask you, how does this book come about? What inspired you to write Extinction Warrior?
You read a bit about me in my bio just now, and
Yeah.
I have loved animals since I was a very small child. And so my desire to write this book actually goes back decades.
Mm.
When I was a producer of TV commercials in New York City, before the cable universe
Wow.
was existing. It was the dawn of the cable universe, and I was a producer, which I found not very creative. I was managing people, equipment, locations, studios,
Wow.
budgets, not creative. And I've always felt of myself as a creative person. So I thought to myself, I'm going to write a news magazine for kids by kids about the zoo, about the work that zoos and aquariums were doing to save endangered animals. And
Mm.
it was going to be a half-hour show, and it was going to be like 8-year-old, hi, I'm Susie Jones, and I'm behind the scenes at the Bronx Zoo, and the Siberian tiger's getting its teeth cleaned today.
Oh,
And
wow.
so uh, I created this whole creative package with little interstitial bits of animation, with little animal factoids, because 30, 40 years ago, I was aware the extinction rate way beyond the natural extinction rate. We were losing animals 30, 40 years ago, whatever. Anyway, so we shopped that around. My partner is convinced that Disney stole the idea. You can't copyright news. We
Mm.
received um, advice from a producer who said, the program all animation because that sells better in the international marketplace.
Yeah.
So I went back to the drawing board and created this eclectic group of animal superheroes that were endangered. An African wild dog, this character, a radiated tortoise, this character,
Wow.
uh, a Margalitza pig, this character.
Oh,
In any event,
wow.
I created this animated show. I thought I need an agent. I shopped it around to an agent or agents at the time. And The one agency that was interested said to me, you know what, I remember the phone call. We really like this concept, but it needs to be a book at the time. So maybe 20 years later,
Hmm.
I hauled myself out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning and I began to write what is now Extinction Warrior with
Wow.
this sort of the same cast of characters of the Cinereous vulture, the vulture Buzzy, in
Beautiful.
any event, and the blah, whatever. Yeah. So here we are.
I love the story concerning the making of Extinction Warrior and the fact that you could relate to, the characters in there, both from animal's perspective to the real human, as I can see from the cover displaying the background in there. Looks quite beautiful to me, really. Thank you so much for sharing.
Mhm.
I love the sound of it, yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Mm-mm.
for the sake,
It actually, my love for animals is it comes from a very this comes from a very deep place in me. I feel
wow,
very connected to Mother Earth and animals. We are animals. On the tree of life,
yeah,
we put
I am
ourselves at the top,
animals.
but we are related to everything,
Yeah,
every living thing out there.
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
I,
thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. And for the
yeah.
sake of readers who haven't read the book yet, and without giving much information away, could we have a sneak of what we would expect in terms of themes and subject lines picking up Extinction Warrior?
On the surface, the themes are, of course, the extinction crisis, uh, trafficking, artificial intelligence. Yellow T, the vulture is actually an android, and he
Wow,
knows everything about everything. Um,
wow,
so that's on the surface, what it's about. But underneath the surface, it's about loneliness, fear,
mm,
loss, courage,
wow.
um, friendship. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I don't think I'm giving anything away by sharing that.
yeah. I love your attempt at making it spoiler free, Quite beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And I
Yeah.
wanted to particularly ask you, because I've loved your answer to the two questions so far, which to me sounds to be quite compelling and quite interesting. But then I would like to ask you as well, what inspired you to write in the genre of children's literature? Is there anything particularly? I know you have a bit of some stories when we first started, perhaps, but I
Mm,
don't know. I'd love to ask and hear from the horse's mouth as to what
yeah.
inspired you to write in this genre of literature.
Okay. I think I didn't know that I was writing in the genre of children's literature when I began. I
Wow.
just knew I had to tell this story. And then I was thinking it was young adult. I thought it was YA,
YA.
but from what I've learned, YA has more violence, more sex, or the beginnings of, the budding sexuality of young
Yeah.
people.
Batsy.
Um, and so I think part of why I am writing for children, first of all, I love kids. I don't have kids, but I love kids because of their honesty,
Mm,
their forthrightness, their innocence,
the same.
and because also in terms of my development and my learning how to read and write English at a sort of an older age,
Yeah.
it ties into my desire to speak to that age of kids. It's a very tender age, that, budding adolescence, and your body is going through so many changes, and you're kind of exploring the world, the greater world out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of a long-winded answer to your question, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I love it. That's a good one, really. Thank you so much for answering. I love the
Mm.
sound of it, yeah. And I wanted to ask you, apart from the love for children and the things you mentioned made you write in this particular genre, I personally have always been fascinated by how, authors, especially writers like yourself, would sit down and craft long sentences and bring words together in a way that sentence come together to make paragraph and paragraph come together to make pages and pages come together to make chapters and chapters come together to make an eventual novel. And this always leaves me thinking, how exactly did they got the idea and inspiration to pull these paragraphs together, these lines, these sentences, these pages, these chapters? together. And now, as far as writing is concerned, I'd like to ask you too. How do you get the inspirations and ideas to write your book? Where did they come from? I'm just curious, you
Mhm.
know.
Well, I think of a couple of things I want to say to answer that question. First of all, I stare out the window a lot. I daydream a lot.
Oh,
You've
daydream.
got to you've got to give yourself the freedom to sit and wonder and let your mind wander. My mother used sieve brain that that I couldn't remember anything. But that idea, she would tell me something and it would go in it just in and out of because I would say, I forgot. She would say, why didn't I do blah? And I forgot. But but I think being a sieve brain, and I don't think of myself as a sieve brain, but my I am filtering. I am filtering lots of ideas through me that I read. If I read about something, I will make a little note if it intrigues me. Um, and I like to knit a variety of ideas together, fiction and nonfiction. And so there's a lot of real science in the book,
Wow.
but it's also fantasy. As a young person, and to this day, I like to know about the fantasy. Yeah, I think Extinction Warrior is sort of a hybrid that there's a lot of real science, but it is in this sort of fantastical future where a 12-year-old and an android can pretend that they're animal traffickers and try
Wow.
to find her parents. So,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. That's quite beautiful to know. That's quite beautiful. Thank you so. I like the fact that you mentioned that you daydream a lot. That sounds quite
Mhm.
fun to know.
Yeah, and as my friend, may she rest in peace, she was a wonderful redundant. Um, she said the hardest thing about being a writer
Mm.
is keeping your butt in the chair. It's like, okay, yeah, it's that commitment
Yeah,
to just taking the time
right this
and
stuff.
yeah, daydreaming out the window, looking out the window, ideas will come. You take some notes, and as there's also a wonderful writer, Anne Lamott,
Oh,
a brilliant writer, really heartfelt. Oh, she's wonderful. Anyway, she has a book called Bird by Bird,
wow.
and I really took to heart, I really took to heart one of the things she said, which is one shitty page gets a novel written. So that's
Hmm. Oh,
okay. That's
wow.
one crappy page a day, and I was doing one crappy page. It took me over 10 years to write Extinction Warrior, and there were 37 different titles,
Wow.
but I kept at it and I kept at it. It's persistence and polishing, and I worked with a developmental editor, sent it out to over 100 agents to I thought I need an agent. This is several years ago, and no one would take it on. I got some lovely rejection letters,
Wow.
and I thought, you know what, I'm not getting any younger. I need to self-publish this. So, because I really believed in the story, but I thought before I self-publish, I need to run it by a developmental editor. So do you know the website Readsy?
Yeah,
Readsy?
I know
Anyway,
it's
it's a
quite
terrific website.
popular.
Readsy. So I found a developmental editor who had majored in biology and
Oh,
lovely.
wow.
And so she helped me see that I was kind of pushing the story in a direction it didn't
Oh,
need to go.
oh,
So she helped me
wow.
see the story that wanted to be told.
Mm.
So it was the end, sort of the last year of COVID, and I rewrote the story and I thought, okay, I'm going to publish. And that was actually last year. And I ran it by a copy editor and then another editor. And anyway, so finally, last August of 23,
Mm.
on a super blue moon, August 31, I pulled the trigger and launched it on Amazon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It's great to hear the stories of your publishing journey. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing. And just apart from Extinction Warrior, do you have any other works you've authored or say currently working on?
I am currently researching uh, the second Extinction Warrior book, which will
Wow.
have a focus on pollinators. As you read in my bio, I'm a beekeeper. We have 5 hives.
Um,
It is fascinating and mesmerizing to um, work and manage this intelligent superorganism. The bees are amazingly intelligent, and
oh,
some folks, and I would agree with this, it's a spiritual, there's a spiritual aspect to being a beekeeper.
good.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm researching the next Extinction Warrior, and then I'm also writing currently a very adult satirical piece,
Yeah.
um, which it's basically a debate on the alphabet and what each letter of the alphabet and the
100%.
words associated with those letters means to the autocrats of the world and the liberal democrats of the world.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And it's going it's going to be a graphic novel. So
Oh,
I'm in the midst of finishing that script. And I intend to work with a very talented Italian illustrator. Yes, that I found thanks to Fiverr, actually.
that's quite impressive, really. It sounds like you've got a lot ongoing. I hope you find some times to sleep.
Yeah, well, yes, I do. I do. I do. I do. With occasional sleeping help. Yeah, little whiskey and pretzels helps me sleep sometimes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. And also, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? Are there any challenges you've encountered in the process of writing this book and also ever since it got published?
Last summer, the summer of 23,
Yeah.
as I was gearing up to publish, I was taking a lot of webinars, some
Oh,
paid. There's lots of information out there on YouTube for someone who intends to self-publish. And
yeah.
so one of the webinars I took, the fellow said, and to hear this, my heart sank. He said, 50% of your job is
Mm,
writing the book. The other 50% of your job is marketing the book.
yeah.
And I I have never felt that I was any good at sales. So the idea that I had to go and get involved in Amazon advertising and BookBub advertising and marketing and promoting and well, okay. So that's like climbing a mountain,
Mm,
this marketing aspect.
yeah.
And but I will also tell you that it was thanks to Jane Friedman, and I would recommend anyone who is interested in self-publishing.
Yeah.
Jane Friedman was the former president and CEO. Are you familiar with her name at all?
Not actually, yeah.
No, no. Well, you should definitely, if you're writing anything,
Writing it down.
write Jane Friedman down. She has a fabulous website. She's a book publishing expert. She was
Oh,
tough notes. She self production and distribution. And so last summer, when I was going to hire a company, there's a bazillion companies out there. You can pay anywhere from $2,000 to $50,000. You give them your manuscript and they will do it all for you. And I thought that's what I was going to do. But then I discovered Jane Friedman know how to prioritize. The fact that she gives you this essentially an Excel spreadsheet with brainless, almost foolproof. You can do this.
yeah.
But getting it on a very easy step by step for you to follow, a bigger challenge for me. Um, but I have recently discovered the website Fiverr,
Oh, yeah.
Fiverr, and hired folks. I hired a guy in Israel to help me with my Amazon advertising and my BookBub advertising. I hired a gal in Pakistan to help do online promotion, blogging, and whatnot, and a variety of other experts in social media to help spread the word on
Yeah.
social media the way I don't have the facility. Um, yes, I'm on Facebook. Yes, I'm on Instagram. And I know I need to be posting every day something about something. And I don't have much interest in doing that. So, yeah.
I love your energy talking about that. And that's actually something quite interesting and very required. Yeah, it's marketing is quite a lot and it demands a lot of time, energy, social media follow up, posting, engagement
Yeah.
with prospects, buyers, etc. And it's just a whole lot really. It's like a walk on itself. It's like
Oh,
a
absolutely. I could be spending 8 or 10 hours a day, uh,
hmm,
whatever, sending out blog posts to whoever bloggers or making my
yeah,
own blog
yeah,
and trying to drum up people
getting
to sign up
content.
for my newsletter uh,
Yeah.
but my focus actually I am one of my Amazon reviewers is a retired middle school principal,
Oh,
and he wrote I like his quotable quote that I have used in some of my marketing materials to schools and others is that he said it would be a fabulous interdisciplinary study for seventh, eighth, and ninth grade.
wow.
So with that in mind, and I have envisioned schools using it. So one of the things I've done is been emailing public and private schools all over the country, sending them links, sending them. I made a book trailer, and there's a wonderful website that I'm into video, and then they add music, and you can add voiceover, and it's so
Yeah,
I've done that. Made a book, but I've concentrated on schools and libraries. I'm also a member of the Independent Book Publishers Association, IBPA, and they
wow.
have a variety of programs, email blasts to 3,500 libraries that are children's librarians and YA librarians. And anyway, there's a number of programs that I've been participating with them on to get the word out there.
Wow.
But that's not the same as me slogging through Facebook and Instagram and putting posts every day and blogging and anyway, yeah, no.
Yeah,
So.
I love your take on that, really. I love your take on that. Thanks for sharing. And as a
Mm,
published author, what sort of advice do you have for other writers who are still struggling with publishing a book? And also, just
mm,
in case you have any viewers watching this and would love to get a copy of your book, on what platform is it available on for
mm.
purchase?
Sure. Well, once again, I highly recommend go to Jane Friedman's website, sign up for her. She has a newsletter that's free, and she offers all kinds of webinars, and she has a resource, free resources on how to self-publish. But her online classes are also very reasonable. I don't know, $89, whatever, sometimes $25. Um, so that's one piece of advice.
Yeah,
The other piece of advice, keep your butt in the chair, just get it done. And also it's just like any journey, it's one step at a time.
yeah.
One little decide you're going to do one little thing today and or this week,
No,
like
that,
whatever it is, you're going to create an ad for once you're self-published, you're going to make an ad for, let's say, Amazon or BookBub, and go to Canva and you make your ad and you put it out there and you see and you just one step at a time.
yeah,
And persistence. You just got one foot in front of the other. Keep on going.
yeah. That's a great advice you've got in there. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
And
open.
then also if you can, also one last thing if you can. Um, authors that you really like that are maybe in your genre
Yeah,
to and if they self-publish to send them a fan letter and tell them what you're doing and see what advice you can get from them,
yeah.
and maybe they could help you or endorse you. Endorsements are important.
Very important.
um, so
Very important. Oh,
yeah,
wow. Thank you
yeah,
so much for your advice. And I'm hoping that viewers, even including myself, would love to utilize it. And I left a link as well in the description
yeah.
part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Susan Y. Extinction Warrior
Oh yeah.
directly on Amazon, on Barnes& and Nobles, on our website, and also another platform. I also left links to social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Suzanne, for accept an invitation to be featured on P English Literature. I must say this is more than awesome. Quite great, quite exciting, having a conversation around Extinction Warrior and your writing journey. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's been a pleasure, Peter. I've enjoyed speaking with you very much. And thank you for mentioning Amazon and Barnes& and Noble. It is available in paperback and the ebook is available. I am intending at some point this winter to produce an
Your
audiobook
book.
because I know kids are listening to books as well.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to find the time to do that. One other thing I want to mention, it is my intention that Extinction Warrior be adapted to the screen.
Wow.
Big screen, little screen, whether it's a television series or a movie. And so I am optimistic that that will happen. And there are, anyway, there are things happening. That's all I'll say. There are things happening in that regard. Um, so I'm fingers crossed that God knows, maybe in 2 years' time, Extinction Warrior will be people will be watching it instead of reading it, and then after they've watched it, then they'll get the book and read it.
Absolutely. And who knows?
Who
It might
knows?
be in 3 months' time. It might be in 6 months' time. It may not have to be like 2 years. It might be in, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 months' time. It doesn't have to wait to 2 years. Something good can happen,
Well,
all of a sudden.
no, I know, but I'm thinking of writing a pilot or adapt the time it takes
Yeah,
to adapt
I
a
know the
novel
feelings.
to
I
a
get
script.
it.
There needs to be a script. Then, hire the talent. Of course, we're living in a world where AI is really
Um,
amazing. And in terms of the trailer that I created, a number of the portraits I created with AI.
yeah,
So what you say is possible. It could be within a year
yeah.
because I'm thinking more old school. That first the script, and then hiring the talent and finding locations and whatever. I want the so
It's a
who
whole
knows?
lot.
Who knows?
Thank you so much. This has been quite exciting. I love talking to you.
Yeah.
Very great.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure, Peter. It's really been a lot of fun. I thank you very much, and so I'll be looking for some of your books.